Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a breaking development that has sent shockwaves through international circles. Australia, a nation often underestimated in global defense dynamics, has just dealt a massive blow to Russia's already struggling and war-weary army. This move not only demonstrates Australia's rising role in global security, but also highlights just how vulnerable Russia's military machine has become under the strain of prolonged conflict. Australia has historically been a close ally of Western powers, consistently supporting the United States, the United Kingdom, and NATO in their security strategies. But in recent years, Canberra has stepped up its game by taking a more proactive stance on issues involving Russia's aggression, particularly in Ukraine. Australia's government and military leadership have been steadily increasing their support for Ukraine, sending equipment, training personnel, and enforcing tough sanctions. What just happened now, however, takes that support to a whole new level and directly undermines Russia's already weakened war capabilities. The Russian army, already struggling with dwindling resources, outdated equipment, and severe manpower issues, has found itself under immense pressure. Despite Moscow's attempts to paint a picture of strength and resilience, the reality on the battlefield has been one of chaos, desperation, and catastrophic losses. Australian actions are striking at the very core of Russia's ability to sustain this war, and the timing could not be worse for Moscow. With international sanctions biting harder than ever, and Ukraine's forces pushing forward with renewed determination, Russia is facing an unprecedented challenge. Australia's move involves a combination of military aid, technological support, and strategic coordination with allies. One of the most significant steps has been the transfer of advanced military vehicles and systems designed specifically to counter Russian tactics. These include armored personnel carriers, precision weapons, and advanced drones that can outmaneuver Russia's aging fleet. Each shipment has had a direct impact on Ukraine's ability to resist and push back Russian forces, and the latest wave of aid is the largest yet. But the blow to Russia is not just about weapons. Australia has been at the forefront of intelligence sharing, cybersecurity operations, and logistical planning with Ukraine and its Western allies. This means Russia is not only facing stronger opposition on the ground, but also having its moves anticipated and countered before they even happen. In modern warfare, information is as valuable as firepower, and Australia is helping tilt the balance decisively against Moscow. The economic side of this move is equally important. Australia has vast reserves of critical resources such as rare earth minerals and energy supplies that are crucial for modern defense industries. By cutting off Russian access and redirecting supplies to Ukraine and Western allies, Australia is tightening the economic noose around Moscow. Sanctions already crippled Russia's financial system, but Australia's measures make it harder for Russia to find alternative pathways to keep its war machine running. This is another devastating setback for a country that is running out of options. Public opinion in Australia has also been strongly supportive of Ukraine. Since the earliest days of the conflict, Australians have rallied behind Kyiv, viewing Russia's invasion as not just an attack on one nation, but an assault on the international order itself. This domestic backing has given Canberra the political will to go further than many expected. Russia underestimated just how determined Australia would be, and now it is paying the price. For Russia, the optics are disastrous. Here is a country thousands of miles away, with no direct borders with Russia and no traditional rivalry. Yet it is playing a decisive role in dismantling Moscow's military ambitions. This makes Russia look isolated, weak, and unable to contain even distant powers from undermining its goals. The message is clear. Russia's reach is shrinking, its influence collapsing, and its enemies growing bolder. The blow Australia just dealt also has psychological implications. Russian soldiers on the front lines are already demoralized, facing poor supplies, low morale, and high casualty rates. Now they know that even countries on the other side of the world are uniting against them. For many, this signals that Russia is fighting a losing battle, with no realistic hope of turning the tide. The morale damage could be as devastating as the physical losses on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Ukraine's forces have gained a critical boost. Every time Western allies send more advanced support, Ukrainian troops become more confident, more resilient, and more capable of conducting offensive operations. Australia's contribution ensures that Kyiv can keep up the pressure, stretch Russian resources thin, and exploit weaknesses. It's not just about defending anymore. It's about regaining lost territory and showing Moscow that its aggression will never pay off. The timing of this move is also significant because Russia's army is reaching a breaking point. Reports from the front reveal shortages of ammunition, widespread desertions, and internal divisions within the Russian military command. Add to that the devastating losses of tanks, aircraft, and artillery, and it becomes clear why an external blow like Australia's has such a magnified effect. It pushes Russia closer to collapse, both militarily and strategically. Australia's action also sets an example for other nations. Smaller and mid-sized powers often look to countries like Australia to see whether their support can make a real difference. This latest move proves that even countries far from the battlefield can strike major blows to Russia by contributing in meaningful ways. It could inspire more nations to step up and isolate Moscow further. Russia has already responded with its usual rhetoric, condemning Australia's actions, threatening vague consequences, and insisting it will not be intimidated. But behind closed doors, Moscow knows it cannot afford more enemies and more setbacks. Its resources are drained, its alliances limited, and its propaganda losing effectiveness. The world is no longer buying into the myth of Russian strength. This is not the first time Australia has stood up against Russia. When Russia shot down Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 in 2014, killing many Australian citizens, the government in Canberra took a firm stance. That tragedy marked the beginning of Australia's strong opposition to Moscow, and it continues to drive policy today. The latest development is not an isolated act. It is part of a long-standing determination to hold Russia accountable for its actions. Looking ahead, Australia's role is likely to grow even stronger. With its strategic alliances, robust economy, and advanced military, Australia is positioned to be a key player in ensuring that Russia cannot recover from this war. Its contributions will keep piling up, and each one will chip away at the crumbling foundation of Moscow's ambitions. For Russia, the reality is bleak. Its once proud military is now a shadow of its former self, relying on outdated equipment, desperate recruitment measures, and shallow propaganda. Every international move against it exposes how fragile it has become. Australia at S-blow is not just a setback, it is a symbol of how the world sees Russia now, a declining power struggling to survive against a united global front. In the end, what Australia just did sends a message far beyond the battlefield. It tells Russia that no matter how far it tries to reach, no matter how many threats it makes, it cannot outlast the combined will of the international community. The so-called mighty Russian army is no longer feared. It is pitied, weakened, and on the verge of collapse. And with every move from nations like Australia, the end of Russia's aggressive ambitions comes closer to reality. This moment will be remembered as one where a country far from the conflict made a decisive impact. Australia has proven that distance does not mean disengagement, and power is not measured by size alone. Its bold action has dealt a huge blow to Russia's dying army, and the ripple effects will be felt for years to come.